you boys doing?
Selectmen's meeting.
Yeah, with all our friends. I'm glad you showed up.
Listen, yours. Where's all your other peoples?
They're zooming.
Yeah,
Zooming and YouTube.
They're zooming.
filming in YouTube. Yeah, somebody else was telling me there was another one. It's like time or change or something like that. Something started with a T anyway. They said it was like one of those really secure
Teams.
teams. That's what it was.
Yeah. I have that too.
See?
There you go.
I got it on.
Yeah.
It's on recording.
Right there.
Okay, I think we're ready to begin. And it's on the right channel on YouTube this time. Okay. Well, let's begin with a pledge and a prayer and let's get started.
Y'all have fun.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I gotta turn off my YouTube, so I don't. Okay, just a second. Now let's begin with a pledge and a prayer. Let's get started. Okay. I didn't need to hear it echoing back and forth, so hopefully it doesn't. Somebody wants to check YouTube, make sure it's still got the audio. I'd appreciate it.
Is it supposed to be live on YouTube?
Yes.
Because when you click from the link from the website on there, it just shows your past meetings. It doesn't show
Right.
anything live.
But the new one will be there also, as soon as it starts.
Yeah, I'm on it right now and there's nothing there.
Then refresh your page, because it should be. Because I have it on mine, so I know it's working. Tad, do you see it?
Yeah, I see it. It says live now right underneath it.
Yep.
Okay, you have to go under the videos part. I was on the home.
Okay. So guess we need to have a prayer still. Didn't do that. Father in heaven, we're grateful for the many blessings that we do enjoy for this town in which we live. Pray for guidance as we conduct the business for this town. It'll be done in the interest of the citizens and the town, and that all may be done accordingly. We pray for these blessings. Pray for thy guidance in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen.
Okay. Approved minutes of April 29th.
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and second. Any corrections, anything that you see needs to be addressed? The only thing that I saw was under the executive session. It shows where we went into executive session, but then the next one shows a motion and we came out of executive session. So we need to make sure that's in there, because otherwise it looks like we did the motion in executive session. So that should have a motion to return at 8:37, and it was made by Fred and Jim seconded it. That's the only thing I saw. Everything else looked good. Anybody else?
No.
All All right, seeing none then, all in favor of minutes with approval? Okay, committee and board reports. Chris, what do you have? Anything?
Nothing?
Jim?
Nope.
Fred?
No, I'm all set.
Tad? Nothing? Okay. Let's go into the manager's report then.
Oh, how, yeah, okay. No, forget it. We're good. I got the wrong one here. We're good.
Vicky, you got to unmute yourself.
I'll unmute you. There, you're
Okay.
unmuted.
Okay. First on the manager's report, I have reconciliations. I have gathered the information I need to start the reconciliations, but I've been unable to start that process as right now we've been extremely busy. So I'm hoping to start tomorrow. I have everything together, so it shouldn't take long. On the audit, I'm still getting information together for Tim, and I'm hoping to have all of that finished tomorrow. And then Pat's got a couple of things to give me as well, so I can give Tim a call and have him pick everything up, so he can start that. Budget committee bylaws. The budget committee and school committee have both reviewed the bylaws and have approved. The only issue the school had was that they wanted it stated as school committee and not school board. So
Yeah,
they were
we made that change.
correct. Well, this was, Kelly had handed to me yesterday and said that someone had handed it to her and asked me to state that. So, which I thought we had already
Yeah,
changed
we
that as
already
well.
did that, one of our meetings.
Yeah. And it was also on, you had it on your list of things, items, well, for,
Yeah, to get the meeting, we hadn't got them back from the school committee. That's where the holdup was.
well, I have them, so.
Okay,
I have them. Personal property, I haven't
so
heard
should
from,
we, you want
Oh,
to
go
approve
ahead.
it tonight or you want to wait until the next meeting then? I guess we ought to wait until the next meeting because I haven't seen if they have made any other changes in them.
okay.
Anybody else see any? Have you, Tad, did you see the minutes yet? I mean, the bylaws?
No, I haven't seen him.
Jimmy, anybody?
No, I have no.
Okay,
Okay.
I thought, okay,
All right, so next meeting, then we should have copies of them, then we can approve it.
okay. Next thing I have, the rec internet phone. I traced back some lines. I spoke with Doug today. There were a few issues, but a new line was run and, I believe it'll be finished tomorrow. I believe you helped with that, Walt.
Yeah, it's all hooked up. All they have to do is turn it on now.
Okay. Tax acquired properties, I have provided you with the list of tax acquired properties. And it's now into the board's hands, however you want to proceed with the next step. I did give you guys an explanation on a couple of those in the email today. So hopefully you've all had a chance to read that.
You have the outline of what we need to do step by step?
I do not. What takes place now, though, normally is that the board makes a decision on how you want to proceed. If you want to, normally it's, you can put those properties out to bid, or the board can offer the properties back to the owners. And, but normally what you guys do, there's a stipulation that that person has to pay the entire balance. And you guys usually give them a certain amount of time, like 30 days to do so.
Right.
Well, that's the next step.
I'll make a motion that we contact each one of these property owners and request payment of taxes. Give them a 30-day grace. To be
And
paid
each one-
full, correct?
What was that?
to be paid in full, right?
Right. The only thing that I have a question about is, Vicky, you said that each one of them have been sent a registered letter, right?
Correct.
Okay,
More than one. There was a 30-day notice, then the 45-day notice. And
okay,
that was done, yeah, everybody was sent those notices, and we have the cards, the signature cards that proves that they signed for the certified mail when they
Okay.
received it. Yeah,
Oh, okay. Just want to make sure that we've got everybody notified originally, so, okay.
yeah. Who said, did somebody second that? Or no?
I'll second it.
Okay.
But I'd
Okay.
also like to ask a question about that. How long grace period are we gonna give before we start the 30-day process? Today, tomorrow, what would be fair? Monday?
I think the grace should start the day that we mail out the letter. This was their final chance. They have 30 days to pay in full.
Okay, fair enough.
So you would like me to do a letter maybe next Monday, on Monday, and send that out, or?
Yep.
Okay,
Notify each one of them that they've got 30 days from that point. But we'd like to hear back from them prior to that, whether they're going to do it. So,
correct, okay.
okay, so there's a motion and a second to send out a notice to all these people that they have 30 days to pay in full. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor then?
I abstain.
Okay. One abstention. 4. Okay. Next.
Okay, for the license renewal for Ricky Doak's Junkyard, we sent out a notice 2 weeks ago to the Bangor Daily, and they have failed for 2 weeks to put that in. So we're going to have to schedule that probably for the June 3rd board meeting. I did talk to the gentleman at the Bangor Daily today, and, you know, I kind of told him that I was concerned with them not putting that in there. And he assured me that it would be in next week, and then the week after that, the 2 weeks. So we should be good to have that public hearing on June 3rd, if that's okay with the board.
Okay, so you should probably let Mr. Doak know then.
I will, yeah? Okay. After a few attempts, I finally heard back from Carl and Donna from the LDA. They've stated to me that they are waiting on some a loan, and as soon as they have those funds, they will send to us their share of the ambulance payment for the first and second quarter. So that amount we should receive from them is $50,900. So I'm hoping to hear something very soon. So that was last Friday when I was finally able to hear from them. The only other thing, I have 2 other things on the manager's report. We've had some people call about Trafton Lake. Per the governor's order, we can't take reservations at this time. So I'm asking the board how you guys would want to handle this. I mean, are we going to not open the campground at all this summer? I mean, I'm just trying to figure out how that could be done, because when that's lifted that order, she states that it would be 50 people. There's 30 some camper lots out there, and we all know that there's more than one person that stays at a camper. So how would you handle that to keep the campers, distance from one another? The only thing I could see is the possibility of maybe renting out every other camper lot, but I don't think that would be fair to do. So I think we need to make a decision on how we want to go forward with that. And of course, as you guys know, that nothing starts until June 1st. on her order, but right now it's stated until there are guidelines put in place by administration that we cannot take any reservations at all at this time.
So we're not putting them on paper like we said we were gonna do without the money? No.
We've had 3 people call and it's the same 3 people calling over and over. So,
Okay, but we do have a list that we've got people on so we can notify them once we do something.
yeah, oh, yes, yes.
Okay.
So it's my understanding that the state has not yet come out with the guidelines for campgrounds. That possibly Thursday they may come out with them. It was going to be possibly Tuesday, but now it's possibly Thursday. I do not want to not open that facility. I would like to open that facility based on what the state's guidelines are. And we simply would, my suggestion would, you just prorate whatever you're selling proportionally to what the dates are.
I don't have a problem with that, but right now, since we don't know what's going on, what I'm thinking we should be doing, and I've got it on the agenda to talk about it tonight, my agenda, is that we need to do the plumbing out there that's needed. We could be working on the bathhouse, so we can get this stuff done before people start coming in, and then we have to be so extra cautious with what we're doing, open trenches and so forth. So now's the time to get that stuff done.
I agree. Absolutely. It should be all done. So when we do go forth, we'll be able to just do that. I agree.
Right.
Even if you had to rent every other campsite, I mean, we know that we put a lot of money in that place this year. You've got to do something to get some money back. If it's legal and able to.
Yeah. And the way I look at it, the only way we can do this is like we always do, first come, first serve. If we have to, once we have the guidelines, and if we have to separate every other camp, then that's what we do. But until we have that, I just think right now we ought to be concentrated on getting everything done out there until we have those guidelines. So we need to be moving forward is what I'm saying.
Is it all cleaned up, Vicky? They've gone through and cleaned the whole thing up except for, so all we're really working on is the water and the well, the pumps?
Right. Doug, is Doug on?
Yep.
I think he can explain that.
Okay.
I'll unmute you.
Brandon,
There you go, Doug.
Do you hear me?
Yep.
Yep.
I went out last week and this week and talked to Tom a little bit. We just kind of went around and just to look at what the damage was from the winter. We haven't tackled any campsites yet, just for the simple fact that I wanted to wait to see what you guys as a board wanted to decide what we do. He is going to start doing some cleanup next week though, with just cleaning some campsites, all the trees that are knocked down. He's going to cut those up and stack them for wood.
Doug,
Other than that,
I was under the understanding that you were going to hire somebody, we were going to employ somebody to do the job, not Tom. Is that correct?
I hadn't heard anything further as to where Tom was not going to be here this year.
I thought we discussed that before, Vicky. No?
I think we discussed possibly doing it, but I mean, there was nothing put in the budget for anyone. So, I mean, I didn't know if you guys had wanted me to put that in there. In what we, what a wage would be for that person. And
Is he on payroll, Vicky?
he is not.
So he can't be an employee of the town, obviously. We've discussed that before, so he'd have to be on payroll.
Right. And I would think that, yeah, if that's who if we wanted to hire him, or if you guys wanted to put it out, to hire someone, for someone to apply, it's whatever, you guys want to do. Walt, can you let Brandon in, please? He's trying to get into the meeting.
He's already in.
Oh, okay.
Are we a member of the Maine Campground Owners Association?
Not that I know of.
I was
Anyway.
gonna say, I don't think so.
I don't think so either.
Okay. I wonder if we should look at joining that organization, because I think their lobbying and going to be a source of information for startup again?
I do get emails from them, and I believe they were trying to push either an early startup or pushing some guidelines that they wanted to present to the governor. So I am getting some sort of emails from that website on a daily basis, and they were kind of the same things that everybody's been presenting. Five people at a time in the bathhouse, certain limits on numbers, basically the same thing as what the governor's been saying, but they were lobbying to definitely try to get that open earlier. So I am getting emails from them anyway.
So Walt, what's the other board members' wishes on this as far as the employee out there? Because he's gonna start work, obviously, and we've talked about if he's not on payroll with workers' comp, that's not the direction we want to go in. So I think we should do something about that tonight to get in the right direction before we get started.
I'm open for discussion.
I guess the only thing we can do, either you're gonna hire somebody, but if you're gonna use him, you'd have to ask if he'd be okay, Vicky, to be on the payroll. I mean, that's the only way you could do it right.
Right.
How much money does Doug have in his budget left for this year?
Oh.
As far as rec payroll,
Yeah, I mean, gotta have money to hire somebody.
it says in this I have $9,615.
And we have four payrolls left, or five, four. And,
Spring and June.
and on Doug's payroll, of course, it's only been him since this COVID's taken place. So there's been some money saved because of that, that's the way you want to put it. Because his other employees, his lifeguards are not on the payroll right now.
So if the Stipend is a campsite, legally, how do you make sure that you are covered under workers' comp and stuff when he's actually working? How would you situate that, Vicky, to make that work, or is there such a way?
There is a way. When we put him in the system, I report to workers' comp every quarter. So they'll get that information stating that we have that new employee.
Okay. And on the budget you have, I see on his rec budget, which we're gonna get to, but what is it, $3,000 or something? I'd have to look again for the employee for seasonal. Is that for Tom or is that for somebody else?
Seasonal, that's on
Yeah.
That's usually my helper, which is Yoan. And it's basically combined. My program assistant is basically the same person as my summer seasonal because he stays on with me. So
Okay.
he's basically 1 and 2, My program assistant is for fall and winter, and usually summer seasonal is spring, summer, so.
So Doug, what do you use Tom for up there? You don't pay him a wage if you're gonna give him the campsite. What's the arrangement?
We haven't been, we give him the site for free, obviously, and then at the end of the year, we give him $1,000 check on top of that.
So you'd have to do that through payroll.
Right.
So what do you want to do, Walt? Do we make a motion to, that's how we want to do it with a pay to make sure he's on workers' comp, or how do you make that so it's a binded deal so we don't have to go back to this again?
Well, that's what we have to do if that's what the board's wishes are.
Does anybody else have any input on this, or just me, or?
So I agree that he needs to be a employee that's covered under workers' comp.
Yeah.
I think that there's got to be other campgrounds and other places that have essentially live-in tenants or live-in people that help operate. I don't think that's a foreign way to do it. I know very little about that industry, so. Because you're essentially right now you're at 1,800 is what you're compensation is. 800 for the spot and 1,000 for the bonus that you give at the end.
I'm just looking out for the liability of the town. If somebody should.
No,
get
I agree.
in
I agree.
trouble,
Right,
make sure.
absolutely.
Fred, anything?
Well, I think if he has a lot and that's part of his compensation, plus $1,000 at the end of the season, I think he's really well compensated.
No, but I mean, as far as
We
like, we put
just
him on
need to put
workers'
him on
comp and
payroll.
not
That's what they said.
1099.
Divide that $1,000 into how many weeks is there and give him a small check each week instead of a lump sum at the end.
Under the payroll, not 1099. is what I'm
Right,
saying.
under payroll.
Okay.
Right,
all right.
payroll, yes. He would be paid bi-weekly, yes.
Tad, anything?
Oh, I'm all for that idea, just as long as the town's covered on liability and he's covered under workman's comp. I'd hate for him to get hurt.
Well, I'll make-
Especially if he's using a chainsaw cutting up trees and stuff,
Oh, he is.
anything can happen.
He is out there.
Right,
I'll make the motion to put Tom on payroll with compensation of the campsite and $1,000 through payroll at the end of the season or weekly, whatever Vicky decides is fine with me.
Second,
Okay, it's been moved and second. Any further discussion?
so that's
Oh.
the wage you want to give him is the $1,000?
Plus the campsite, yeah,
Okay,
which
okay,
would be 1,800, I guess, like Chris said.
okay.
Okay, all in favor then? Okay. It's unanimous?
Okay,
going back to the campground, I'd like to make a motion that we intend to open the campground this season following the CDC's recommendations.
Second.
Okay, it's moved and second. Any discussion? So we're
what do you-
basically saying until it's all pending the guidelines that we receive.
right.
Is that
So
what you're
what do
saying?
you do if somebody, because we have campers that come from out of state?
We'll have to follow the state's guidelines,
Yeah,
which may
Correct.
mean at the beginning, it kind of sounds like at the beginning that it's only going to be main campers to start with.
So would that be with every lot or every other lot? Our lots
Well-
are very close together.
The state will tell us, and I think we can reach out to them to get the advice on
I
how to
did,
do it.
I did send out an email to the governor's office last Thursday. I haven't received an answer back yet, and I'm expecting to hear something. So I did reach out with more information on that to be more clear, clarification on what her order is, so.
okay,
I would really encourage you guys to join the Maine Campground Owners Association, and use them as a resource to help us through this process. I think it's good to be a member of an organization like that.
but again, as far as those wanting to camp there, whether they're out of state or not, as soon as we know what the guidelines are and we take the reservations, I don't care whether it's out of state or in state. If they're on the list and they reserve a spot, they're entitled to it. That's the way I look at it.
Okay.
Because as long as we're going by the guidelines, it doesn't matter whether they're in state or out of state, because they have to have the same opportunity as far as I'm concerned.
Can I say something?
Yes,
It says that for campgrounds, it's open to Maine residents and out-of-state residents who have completed the quarantine guidelines
right.
starting in June.
So maybe we can get all the information and then whatever we're gonna do at the next meeting, we'll know in stone. That's before June, so we should be good with that. Vicky?
Yeah.
I just have a quick comment if I can.
Sure.
Okay,
So if we're gonna go ahead and just assume that we will be able to open June 1st, I do still have to go through the main drinking water program and whatnot and get that up and going. So do you guys want me to go ahead and just, and start doing that now? Because as it looks like, obviously, we're not gonna have the new well, so we're gonna have to go back through our chlorination pump and run at that high test like we did last year until we know what we're gonna do, because June 1st is coming quick, so. And there's a 30-day grace period once we send in that startup procedure from the main drinking water program, so.
Well, I think we have to go forward with the way we've been doing it, but I still say we need to go out there and start hooking up the other stuff, because that has to have a total of 5 different tests before we can actually switch over anyway. So we've got so much going on that we just need to be doing everything we can right now. But yes, I think you need to proceed with it because we got to be ready. Okay, so back to the motion then. All in favor then? It's unanimous. Okay.
So, on the 4th of July activities, as far as the 4th of July event, I mean, what is taking place there? Every other festival and event taking place in the state has been canceled for this year.
Michelle sent out an email. They were trying to wait for June 1st, right? Michelle, is that correct?
Yes, we're waiting till June 1st to make the full decision in case the state changes, as well as the fact that we are planning on a few events and putting it in a calendar of things that we can do that are 50 or less.
So what kind of events can you hold with less than 50 or less people?
Well, we can do we have events as such as like the chicken pie supper can be handled in a way. The strawberry shortcake can be handled in a way to still do those type of things. We've had the teddy bear picnic before that's 50 or less. So we were thinking maybe still trying to do something with that. But ensuring that we don't go above 50. Fireworks, we're definitely going to plan on having the fireworks because people can stay in their cars for that. So there's a few things that can still be done and still have it done right.
Okay.
But we didn't want to jump the gun in case things change and the governor changed her mind.
Whose decision is it to make that decision? Is it the town managers or is it the chambers?
I would assume it's the chamber, since the chamber is the one that organizes it and funds it and runs everything.
Well, the town manager is the one in charge of the pandemic policies, the only thing.
Yeah.
I believe Fort Fairfield's town manager is the one that made the decision, the final decision on the Potato Blossom Festival.
Well, we wouldn't do anything that the governor states. I mean, we wouldn't break any rules. So I think the chamber's made of adults that are pretty reasonable to make sure to stay within the guidelines.
I agree with what Tad's saying, though. I know that overall, it will be the town manager that has to give the approval for the chamber to go ahead with it or whatever, because that's the way it's run in every town. Yeah, the chamber is responsible for organizing and doing everything, but the safety of the town falls back to the town manager, so.
But I think if we made a decision.
So if the church organizes the chicken supper and does it within the guidelines, they need to come to the town manager first.
I'm just saying, if it's gonna fall under 4th of July event, if you're advertising it that way and all the things fall under that, there's individual things that can still take place as long as they meet the guidelines. But if it's a group of things happening, then it's got to come back to the town manager, whoever it is. That's just my thought. But we've got time because the governor's going to make her next statement the 15th. So we should know before our next meeting so we can decide right then what's going to happen for June anyway. I still think we're okay.
Well, the
You kinda
chamber
cut out.
always includes the entire board and the town manager and all the emails, so it's a way to stay updated.
Okay,
Okay, that's all I have for my report.
okay. Public comments then.
I've got a couple of things. The website, I have asked a few times if all department heads have been informed to get that updated and send in all of their information to make sure that their sections are done. Or have we been working on that? Because as we fill out for grants, I have a feeling that grantors will be reviewing our website to get more information about the grant applications, and I feel it's important that it's updated and not lose a chance of getting any grants.
Well,
I've
Walt's
heard back from Walt stating that he's just waiting for information, and
Mhm.
I haven't heard from anything else or anyone else.
Well, I've passed the information on. I mean, I can only give Walt what I'm given, you know. I'm extremely busy. I was alone yesterday in the office. We're extremely busy at the office, and I know that sounds like an excuse, but there's many things going on right now. There were a few things that Walt has asked for that I haven't been able to get to him yet to put on the webpage, but I'm hoping within the next couple of weeks that can start picking up.
During this time, is that something we could ask maybe one of the departments like the library to help out with?
Well, Chris, I think it's really like, so for example, like Chamber has their tab on there. So I've been sending Walt everything that, we want to see under the chamber. So right now, when you click on rec, there's really nothing for rec. When you click on library, there's nothing for library. Same thing with the fire department. So I was hoping that during this time, department heads would review that piece and start sending, Walt everything that needs to go under their page, so that when people are clicking on it, it's there.
That's what I'm looking for. from each
Department heads,
department.
I can't imagine that they're all extremely busy right now. So I'm sure some
Well,
of them
you've
are
got-
sitting at home.
You've got our rec director who's working from home, our librarian's only in a couple days a week. Town office, we're extremely busy. So yes, we're busy. So
But
to say that we're not is not.
Well, I don't think that that they don't, they can't give, 30 minutes of time to be like, I would like to have these pictures posted or this list of events, sent in. That would be something that shouldn't take time. If we really want to start applying for grants for the project of the Albert Mitchell Park, and we want to make sure that, grantors that are reviewing our town, that website is a priority right now. That is something that we'd hate to lose grants because our website has nothing on it. That's my concern. We're volunteering our time to do a project to revitalize it and apply for grants. I just think that should be a priority. That website's got to be a priority.
Well, it's under maintenance, so we'll get there.
Okay.
okay, I've got a couple items here. Scott sent in a question. He says, the way I understand social distancing is 6 foot away. That's personal distancing, yes. Tracy says, I have a few questions pertaining to Trafton. When will we be accepting payments for deposits? Number 2, I don't understand Vicky's reasoning for having the campers placed in every other lot. The campers are at least 15 feet apart, and under Governor Mills guidelines states 6 feet apart. These are all outlined in her opening phases. But again, that's, go ahead.
The 6 feet apart is per person. I mean, but it's
Yep.
not, I'm not the only one that suggested to do every other camper lot. So that wasn't just my idea, you know? But I just thought, I'm just looking out for people, okay? I mean, this pandemic thing, and I hate to say it, but they're predicting the number's going to climb. You know, that's all I'm looking out for. Am I saying I want the Trafton Lake Campground to be closed? Absolutely not. But I'm just looking out for the safety of the people.
And I don't think we've got to reinvent the wheel. I think we need to follow what the state's doing with their own campgrounds. And I think there's going to be lots of advice as we move forward on what to do.
I think we're just throwing up ideas. I don't think there's nothing in stone. We're just trying to create different ways to accommodate as many people as we can is all we're doing.
And that's why I keep saying, until we get guidelines, there's really nothing what we can do right at this point.
Right.
Other than work on the water.
Yeah, other than get the bathhouse and the water lines and everything done out there. I mean, this is,
The preparations, absolutely.
yep.
Correct.
Michelle, you said you have some other question?
Yeah, the new town manager, the official start was what again?
18th.
18th. Is there an email system or anything set up for the new town manager, or a date prior, or
Not yet.
nothing's been done on that part?
Nope.
Okay, and then, did I hear, I don't know if it was the last meeting or the meeting prior to that, that the new email system, I think Chris or someone had asked a question about it that the town has. Did I hear correctly that we paid for a 10-year service on that?
Yes, you did.
That's
10
the
years.
that's the hosting company though. That's not in the email. You can
Yeah.
still change websites around.
Okay, so it's a 10-year for hosting. Is there a
Yes.
reason why we went 10 years on something that we're unsure how it's gonna work?
do you
We
mean?
used it previously.
Oh, we have.
Yes,
Yeah.
we just went back to the old system, Michelle, the network solutions.
Okay, okay. I just found 10 years to be a really long time to tie into something.
It's a refundable contract. If it doesn't work out, it's in the contract, we'll get a refund. It's not like you gave it away. If it doesn't work, you walk away.
Oh, okay, okay,
Plus
okay.
the savings of doing it that way was a substantial, it's less than half per year, the way it works out. So it's big savings for us.
And
Okay.
Walt and I have used them in the past. I mean, MSSM's used it for 25 years, network
Yep.
solutions. So
It's
Their
originally
quality.
where I started with everything many years ago, and they're doing really good. Well, you can see how easy it is for me to update the web and everything to keep things going. I think it's wonderful.
Okay, I wasn't sure on that. And then, did I hear something about the new well at Trafton is not being done? Is there a reason for that, or it's being
Not being
delayed,
done?
or?
What do you mean?
don't
Well, I
know
thought
about-
Doug had said something about that the well won't be done at Trafton, so he's got to go back to the old system.
No, we're gonna use the old system until the new one gets all checked out. Like I said, there's a total of 5 different tests that have to be run on the new well, even after it's hooked up. So we won't be able to use it for quite a while, even when it's all ready to go, until all these tests pass and so forth. So that's why I'm saying with the old well, we need to go ahead, get the tests done, so we've got water out there for everybody.
Okay, so the test for the new well will take place this year so that it can go onto the new well?
Well, that's what I've been saying, is that we need to progress with this, get the trenching done, get everything in place while we have the time right now with no campers.
Okay, that's why I was just making sure I heard that right. Okay, that's all I have. Thank you.
Okay, another question from Melissa. I have a question about the LDA and their payment for ambulance. Well, you weren't on earlier, but we have received notice from them that as soon as the loan goes through, they will be sending us the funds, the check.
And that'll be
Well,
for,
I have a question. Vicky stated that the LDA is waiting on a loan. Did they mention who the loan is through? Because NMDC just granted them in April a pretty hefty loan for operating costs.
he did not mention who they were getting the loan from.
So I kind of feel like maybe they're giving us the runaround because they did get a loan from NMDC April 9th to cover their operating costs until state funding kicked in. So I can't imagine that they're going out and getting another loan on top of that. Just my 2 cents as being part of the LDA loan review committee.
Thank you, Melissa.
Welcome.
I could check my financial reports too when I get home. Okay, no other public comments?
You won't.
I heard somebody, oh, Tom, yes?
I'm glad to see you guys are erring on the side of caution. That's good to see that with Trafton, 4th of July and everything. I mean, again, we'd hate to see a spread just because we feel that there's nothing here today, but that doesn't mean that tomorrow there's not going to be. So I congratulate you guys for that. I do have a question though. You did hire a new town manager. And his background is pretty heavy on economic development and grants, loans or grants. Is that true?
Yep.
Okay, so no disrespect and don't take it the wrong way, Michelle, but I hope when you monitor your budgets, you take that into consideration because I think you're going to have an awful hard time keeping your mill rate down this year. And I think you're going to have to wisely spend our monies. Just a statement, you know what I mean? I know we give money to the LDF and that's good and we should, but if we have a town manager that my understanding he's going to be paid extremely well, if he has these talents, then we should utilize him for as much of that as we can. Just a statement.
Yep.
Okay.
Okay. Any other public comment? Seeing none, we'll move on to old business. First item we have is the rec bus. We're told that Jim Cody has gone out and looked at it and has come back and told us about $300 to $400 is all it's worth. So what do we want to do? We want to put it out to bid? What do we want to do?
So moved to put it up to bid.
Okay, there's two of you then. You're both doing it at the same time, Fred and Chris.
Second.
So one of you second it.
I will second Chris.
Okay. So put it out to bid. Before we make a vote on that, is there you want to set for a minimum bid? I know there was some discussion last time that we should have had a minimum bid on stuff.
Yeah.
So is this something you want to do?
Well, everybody pretty much agreed. I'd say $500. I think you'll get that for scrap, so.
Okay, so want to add that to the motion then, Chris?
Yep, I'll add that to my motion of $500 minimum bid.
Okay. Any further discussion? All in favor then of the motion to put the bus out the bid for minimum bid of $500? Okay, everybody, it's unanimous.
Okay.
Okay, the next thing I have is the park pavilion. What's the status?
I spoke with Randy last week, Randy Brooker on that, asked him if he had a set date for when he could finish the project. He stated that he was hoping to have started it by now, but due to the rain and the frost, that he felt it would be best to wait by the end of the month to start that and finish it. He said it shouldn't take him long once he gets started. So he's hoping he has that, he starts it within the next couple of weeks, so about the end of the month, this month.
Okay. So you'll just keep us updated then as it
Yeah.
progresses?
Yeah.
Okay, And then the next item was the Trafton water hookup. We need to get that out to bid or something because we've got time here. We need to be moving.
Okay.
I gave you all a list of the materials last time. I don't have them with me now, but so we know what the cost of the pieces are going to be, but still we need to have a plumber do it. It has to be a licensed plumber in order to make the connections because it is a public infrastructure. So my recommendation is that we contact a few plumbers, get some bids coming in of what needs to be done.
Is it likely that this is going to be under what's needed to go out to bid?
Did you have to buy the pumps, Walt, or do we have the pumps?
No, we have to buy them.
So
But-
we're gonna be over that, right?
Yeah, the pump is around $500, you know, a little less than that, but the trenching, like I said, we can have that done by the highway department. We talked about that. So that'll save quite a bit there because excavator time, that's a little costly. And if we're going to use, I have a whole roll of the black plastic pipe, 1-inch pipe. So I'm sure that's what they'll use coming down to it. So we could save a little bit there, but I don't know. The actual,
My thought on labor for a plumber, if you had everything set and ready for him to go, I wouldn't think he'd be more than a day there on site.
right, that's what I'm saying.
So that would fall under your $2,500 threshold to go out to bid.
And then the electrician, what would that be? Probably same thing, couple hours, 3 hours, wouldn't be a long time, right?
Yeah, if we had everything laid out, it'd be just a matter of the connections.
Like, yeah, so we could do it that way, Walt, and if it goes over when they, you know, if it seems that when we get the first guy and it's over that, then we'll have to go back and make it into a motion to put it out to bid, correct?
Right.
If you leave it in the hands of the manager, you may be able to get it done quicker.
Absolutely, you will.
So is that what you want to do then?
Yep. I'm fine with the town manager getting bids or getting estimates, whatever she needs to get.
Okay.
If you want that in a motion, Walt, or would that be
I
better?
think we should. So,
I'll make a motion to have the town manager seek all the people that need to be involved to get the pumps and the electrical and everything for the pumps out of Trafton to get the well tested in working order ASAP.
Second.
okay, it's been moved to second. Get the pumps out, draft and installed and working. Any further discussion? Seeing none then, all in favor? Okay. Unanimous? Okay. I just thought of something though. The only catch to this is going to be, we can't have we have to have a loop out there. So that's going to be an addition to the hookup of the well. But that could be treated as a separate thing though. So we can work that. Okay, so the next item is EMA director. We had a couple people, there was some suggestions made. None of them want to do it now. We were down to, I think there was 2 left.
Sean and Tom.
Yep. And so I don't know if either one of them is still interested.
I
Are you still
haven't heard
interested, Tom?
What was that?
Tom.
I was asking Tom if he's interested. He's on there. I just didn't, I figured that'd be easier.
He's not jumping up.
I'm really pretty busy. I don't really have time for it. I thought about it after doing it, and Sean probably has more experience if he's ready, you know, if he's still willing. If he's not and you absolutely can't get anybody, Jimmy, I would step up, but I'd like to see if Sean would do it. If he would, then, but if he won't, I will do it.
So we appreciate that.
Is that something that the new town manager can take on? Is that a, I don't know, but
Possibly. No, it's a not good idea.
He does have a firefighter background.
Yeah,
It's a good suggestion for sure.
well, it's worth, I can send him a message and see if he would be interested in that, how he feels about it. And then I'll get back to the board, see what they want to do.
Okay, that'd be good. Thank
I
you.
think that sounds like a good idea.
Okay. All right, we're down to new business, budget workshop. Let the fun begin. Okay, so tonight, we have recreation is first one on the agenda here. Okay, start on page 22. Hey Doug, you ready?
I am ready when you guys are.
Okay, so just tell us a little bit going down through line by line, what's happening, what your thoughts
Yep.
are.
Well, I'd say on page 1, I think we decided as far as payroll goes, we did a 1.89% increase. So that's just $1,000 addition there. Let's see. On the next page, which would be office expenses.
Doug, can I interrupt you for a sec?
Yep.
So on that will increase a little bit more, won't it? Your payroll, if we add,
What's that? Yes,
we
that's correct.
okay,
Yep. So we'd probably have to add another 1,000 of that, right?
correct.
Yep. If we were gonna put Tom on there, yep.
So where does the 1,000 come from that you normally give him?
Straight from the Trafton account.
Correct.
Okay.
So yeah, that would be 55 then, if we were to add 1,000. Down to office expenses, we did just recently add an additional 650 to that, which is going to cover the cost of internet. It's about $55 a month. That figures to 650. Everything else going down hasn't moved.
I guess it says vehicle maintenance. I guess I got a question I don't see, which is oddly enough. I don't see insurance on any of these budgets for vehicles, equipment, or anything. Where does that come from?
That comes from, I believe, the multi-peril. Is that where that comes from?
So you don't put that underneath like individual departments, you know?
No,
If
no,
There's 5 cop cars sitting there that, what we're paying for insurance.
nope, that doesn't have its own, it doesn't go into each department.
Okay. So where do I
Trying to
find
find
out
that
how
one.
much we pay, Vicky?
I'm looking, and that hasn't been, we haven't updated an amount for that yet, because that wasn't one of the items to discuss yet, but I'm looking.
Okay. I thought I had it read then.
That was under admin. Yeah, that's it.
I'm looking.
While you're looking for that, Doug, is the van gonna need some rust repair this year coming?
It looks like it might need some. maybe around the rocker area. I think we're getting some rust around there. What's that? Sorry?
Is that accounted for in this budget, or is that something in addition to?
There would probably need to be more in there, I would imagine. I haven't got a quote from anyone yet on that. We did this pretty much right before it was all this stuff hit us all at once.
So the question on the insurance is 680505 is the account number. It's multi-peril.
Yeah, I knew that, but I couldn't find it.
That would be on page 29.
Oh, that's why. I only go up 28.
Yeah, I only go to 28 too.
Same here.
Wonderful.
That's all right. You can just email it or something tomorrow, Vicky. No big deal.
Yeah.
I'm just curious, that's all.
Okay, I would say the biggest one would be back on 24 with materials. I actually left that at 17,000.
Oh, yeah.
We jumped that up quite far last year due to the fact of the pavilion, cost of the pavilion, which you'll see that remaining 12,000 pretty much disappear on that. But there are some things that I'd like to get done this summer where our summer program will probably be a little bit more limited, which will give us some time to do some projects. One being striping and sealing the tennis courts and basketball court at the park. The striping from Jarvis would cost like $3,000. I did price that out, and it's looking for the sealer as well. I'm thinking about 30 of those. We can get it for $100 a bucket. From Home Depot was probably the cheapest. I tried to go local, and we're looking at about 170 something to 150 something a bucket. So that's probably our way to go that way. So that's 3,000 towards that. And the other one was more of a request. Just asking a lot of the town members and parents and kids, talking about, Fort Fairfield just put in a new ice rink. I talked to them a little bit about, where they went through and found the exact same company. For $4,900, we can get something similar to that. It's a little bit smaller, but it'd be perfect for us. Cost efficient, whereas rather than just building up a bunch of walls of snow, every time we get a melt, we'd lose the water. With this has a nice liner in it so that anytime we did get a melt, the water is going to stay there. So we wouldn't have as much cost on something like that. We wouldn't need somebody there all the time as far as, maintenance goes. An easy shovel, really. Sometimes an extra layer of ice, but that's just more of a request from parents and kids, and people would like to see something like that here in Limestone. So that's in there. That's kind of, I guess, decision that you guys can make whether you want to keep it in there or not. But I did put it in there because I did get a lot of positive feedback on something like that. So I did put that in there, but that is an additional 4,900. So that brings us to almost, where are we? $1,100 just about. The rest would be for the LED lighting, not the rest of it, because I do want a little bit of wiggle room. I still haven't talked to Dave at RLC, but I'm hoping I can get some new lighting on the tennis courts and basketball courts as well. A lot of those are either completely broken or just way out of date. I also want to talk to him while I'm talking to him about the rec one, to do the Trafton lighting as well, because those
Doug, are you able to go through Efficiency Main for that?
I'm not sure. Don't
should
they
be.
run a program through RLC through that though?
Yeah.
Yeah, they should be able to help you.
Yeah.
Right. So I'll definitely talk to him about that.
Okay.
Let's see. That was the biggest one. I think everything else, as far as you see looking down, did stay the same.
So this year, we had planned also to do the bathhouse out to Trafton. Where does that fall within what we're looking at for this year's budget? And do we know if are we still on track to try to get that done, or I can't even remember now?
As far as I know, we didn't make, I guess there were still some blurred lines on whose budget does that come out of? Is it gonna come out of Trafton's? Is it gonna come out of ours? I still really didn't get an answer on that, so I'm not sure. I thought the thought was that it would come out of Trafton's, where it's mostly utilized by Trafton, but I really didn't get a clear shot answer on what we're gonna do there as far as that goes.
No, I believe that our discussion was centered around the Trafton funds and so forth.
Right. That was my thought as well.
What's in the account at Trafton? Does anybody know that at their fingertips, or?
I think you said around like 35 or.
It's around 34,000 in the savings.
Okay. Thank you.
Mhm.
What's it for work in the bathhouse? Do we get estimates? We talked about quotes last year, or estimates, I guess. Did anybody then come back, or anybody?
Yeah, we're gonna have to put that back up for bid or something, because nobody bid on it at that time. I think that was.
It was so late in the year.
Towards the end of the year, exactly, and everybody was booked up, and
Okay.
might be a good time now to probably put it back out where it's springtime and everybody's looking to get stuff done, but.
No, it's a good idea.
But as far as the rest of the budget goes, those were my big changes. Everything under rec really stays the same as last year.
So we'll make that into a motion for the bathhouse to get the bid started on that. I'll make a motion to get the bids, for Vicky to get the bids sent out in the paper, however you guys decide.
Do we still?
The bathhouse, I'm sorry.
Yep. Is there a second on this?
Second.
Okay. Discussion? Chris, you had a bunch of the information on that originally. Do we still have that, Vicky, here in the town office? All
We
the
do.
information? Okay.
Yeah.
So it would be easy to send it out again. Okay.
Mhm.
Did we not have two bids? Am I mistaken? I thought we got two bids. One of them was not clear and the other one was. We compared prices. Was I wrong?
I believe that's the item you guys had the bids on. Is that the one where you wanted it to go back out to bid because there were different, they
Yeah.
weren't clear. Each of the people that
Right.
turned in the bids, it wasn't clear, right?
It wasn't itemized, yeah.
They weren't
Right.
inclusive. One was just a number and the other one was a little more detailed, but not quite as much as we asked.
Correct.
Okay. All right, so we have a motion second. No further discussion. All in favor then? Okay, unanimous. Okay. Code, planning. Brandon,
Sure, can everybody hear me?
yes.
You can hear-
Okay, so my budget's pretty quick and simple. My payroll, no changes from last year, and I'll probably be under budget this year when it ends. The only difference is office travel and training, which really the value hasn't changed any. It was taken out of administration and put into my own line item. So that value hasn't changed at all, really. It just moved from their account and made into my own account for my office. Other than that, everything's stayed the same, no up or down. And I'll probably end up being under budget on both this year, so.
Brandon, and off topic, and I meant to call, but how are you making out on the, would you call it dilapidated or unsafe properties? We talked about it. We didn't talk to you very much because of this whole deal, but in the winter when we talked, We were gonna start in the spring on some sort of legal process. Have we gone out to try to do anything with that?
I've sent some letters out to some property owners, and I talked to one property owner yesterday. I went out and discussed it with her, and she's going to be contacting a local contractor to tear down part of her property and clean it up. So it's going fairly well. But the process to have one cleaned up that's, the person's not willing to do it is, you got to send letters out, and then it's got to go to the attorney and that sort of thing. So, if we can get the participation of the property owner, it's a lot
Much better.
quicker and a lot easier.
How many properties have you sent? How many properties are you looking at that you have find problemsome? And how many letters have you sent out total?
I've sent out 2 or 3 letters here in the past couple of weeks now that the snow is gone, and there's probably a half a dozen properties around in town that are troublesome.
Okay,
So I'm going to try to focus on those ones here.
so you'll get some more letters out. You're just kind of working it as you go.
Yeah. So as long as I can keep a good stride on it. If you do them all at once, and you try to jumble them all at once, you know what I mean? Then
Sure.
you get some fall through the cracks. So
Okay, thank you.
Brandon, while we got you, do you have anything that you would like to see on the website and so forth?
yeah, I've got all kinds of stuff I'd like to see on the website. So if you're open for incoming emails for that stuff, I can send you all kinds.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Okay.
We had talked that up in the administration budget, there was an assessor's line. We had talked about maybe moving it down. I'm trying to find it right now, but
Say that again, Chris. I didn't quite
Well,
understand what you said.
we've got a portion of what we pay you up in contracted services in the administration budget.
And that would probably stay there, because that's a contractual agreement between my business and the town, not between me personally. You know what I mean? That doesn't come out of payroll.
Okay.
And I talked to Vicky about that too when I was in the other day. We got that straightened away too.
Are you going to post your hours, Brandon, on the website when you do get it going, just so people have questions, they'll know when you're able to be in the office, obviously, because you have, not full-time hours, so to speak.
Yeah, I mean, I'll definitely have, obviously my email address and the phone number and extension, and they can leave me a message or a voicemail, and I'll get back to them, as soon as I'm back in the office for the week.
Okay.
Chris, it is under contracting services,
Okay.
60.01.
Brandon, do you work certain days every week, or is it kind of in like a floating rotation?
Yeah, it's kind of floating, because I mean, it kind of works out to where if somebody needs me to do an inspection, or if I need to do an inspection at a certain time, I can come in on a Thursday instead of a Monday, or a Friday instead of a Tuesday. It works out better that way for me and for the public that needs me to be there, so I can, be in.
Yeah, no, understood. How many hours you work in a week, roughly?
Usually 15, roughly 15.
Try to do.
It's anywhere between 10 and 20, I guess, depending on what sort of project's going on. There might be, if there's something bigger going on, take a little more time, or some weeks are is busier than others, obviously. So, but I've tried to be budget conscious this year, and I'll be under budget. So,
What is your projects you're working on right now, Brandon, besides the dilapidated homes?
there's some industrial stuff that wants to come in, solar project, that sort of thing. So trying to get that going, and I've been really pushing on a new zoning ordinance. So that'll be, it's all in my monthly report.
Okay,
You guys will get the monthly reports at next meeting.
okay, thank you.
There was a question raised the other day, Brandon, as long as we got you here, about the zoning up on Pondview.
Oh, yeah.
I'll talk to you later about it. I
No
don't wanna-
problem. I know where you're going with it.
Okay. I just didn't know what it was zoned for, and I couldn't answer the question, so.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, LDF.
That, I see a Greg, is that Greg Ward? On there, does anyone know?
Don't know.
I can't say.
I just wanted to make sure if that was him or not, but it's no big deal there.
Let me see, I can unmute him. Is this Greg Ward? I unmuted him so he can talk, whoever it is. Says Greg, so, okay, let's go on.
Well, as you guys know, the LDF, as stated in the letter and what we put together for a budget, we continue to work to try to move forward and do some different things. Of course, in the past, we tried, to do the coordinator position, and that didn't work so well due to different opinions and things like that. So we put in for another try on $10,000. We broke it down, be $5,000 for a stipend position. And then we send out the new Limestone Orator newsletter that was previously funded by a grant that we had, and that grant has been depleted. I am trying to find another grant to continue with that, but it seems that people in the community have responded well to it, and different places like the church, the Methodist Church, and a couple other groups have stated that they've had an increase of attendance and different things that they host, and it was all because they had seen it in that newsletter. So we're continuing to kind of put that through, but our general budget is, depleted as well. So we're just looking to maybe continue with that, but also try to find another grant. We need some office supplies, as of course that newsletter takes paper and things like that, and just a few things here and there. We were hoping to maybe try to do some advertising for some of the businesses and things. If they need something, try to put more out there for them on that piece. We have the planter project where we have 15 flower pots that we put throughout town. Those at the beginning were funded by the businesses or the individuals. Right now that funding for that has depleted as well. And we're sending out another letter hoping that those people will continue with it and support it, type of thing. But in the meantime, to try to beautify the town a little bit, we would like to continue with it on that piece. And it costs roughly $400 each year for that. And then of course we did put in there if there's any trainings or that, is out there that maybe, myself or the president or whoever's, interested in attending for economic development and things like that could attend. And then as you all know, we do the annual dinner. We split that with the chamber and the Rotary. So there's funding for that that's needed. And then just to make it an even $10,000, there's an additional line for $1,900, and that could be used for whatever. But the LDF is pretty good about not spending foolishly or anything like that. It hasn't done any of that for quite a few years, and so that's where we're at in our request. We just feel that in order for us to continue to move forward, we do need to have a little bit of a budget, to help offset some of those costs, because sometimes some of those things get paid for out of pocket, by volunteers, and I believe that that shouldn't be done. So that's where we're at for our request. We have a small board. The board still struggles to maintain a full board. As you all know, volunteers are hard to find. Are there any questions?
No questions? Okay. Well, thank you, Michelle. Okay, next item then is the ambulance. Yeah, I gave it to you. This is first responder right there. Okay, so basically we know what the ambulance request is for 1 year at a time. So we just need to make sure we have that identified in our budget, which is what, 115,000?
Well, I put in there the entire amount, the 203,600.
Okay,
And that would be under 707502. It's on, do you guys have page 31?
no, ours all
No.
stop at 28
27 or 28 months done.
Okay.
because we knew we were missing some with the charities and all this kind of stuff that we always, I don't have any of that stuff.
Well, yeah, those ones, I hadn't updated those ones yet because I'm going down the list that you give me and the order that we're doing it. That's why it's not on there yet.
So is that typically the line that we've paid the ambulance service out of?
Yes, it is. Yep.
How much was it gonna be for the year?
That was 203,600, you said, Vicky?
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And that's not depending on LDA, is that correct?
Right, that's the full amount.
Right. So half of that, which really is what we're supposed to be paying, is 101,800. That
Right.
would really be our share. So
Okay, so we just, with that identified, that's. Okay, so the next item then is the first responder. And Vicky has sent all of us the breakdown that AJ sent to Chris and he forwarded on, whatever.
Did you send a link for AJ to be on the meeting?
Probably not.
oops.
I don't have,
So
is this the one down at the bottom of the page? In the icon?
Yep. Yep.
Okay,
this program started and then it ceased. It's going to start up again with the same students, I would assume, with the same cost.
right? You go ahead and discuss while I'm doing this.
Well, that was just my question, if it's going to hold steady since they've started and stopped, and they're going to start again, right?
Well,
Is that my understanding, Chris, or no?
I think they've got their books all purchased. That was one of the large purchases for the program. They haven't tested out. They don't have an exam. They don't have a licensing fee yet. So, so I think the only thing that's really been spent out so far is on books. Is that correct, Vicky?
Yes.
No, none of our officers, police officers, decided to participate in this, Vicky.
I believe that is correct.
Okay. Chris, do you know if they had, or Vicky, did they have 12 students in the class?
Did they have what?
12 students in the class?
I believe it's about what he had. Yeah.
Okay. Good deal.
Okay, I got a question. This right here, isn't this money we've already voted on to start the first responders already?
Is for next year.
Why are we buying a set of books for next year? That's my question.
So your annual cost spread would be 13,600.
Okay. So that's really what's going to be budgeted.
Well, this year you need the 16,620, right?
That we had already appropriated.
Oh, you
Yeah.
did out of, okay, I'm sorry. Out of the general fund. I do remember that now.
Okay, so it's,
But they're likely to only spend the 17 this year until they can get their class going, or
Oh.
something along those lines.
Hopefully they get going sometime.
Okay. AJ said he'd join us here momentarily.
Right.
Still waiting. Nothing yet?
Can we jump to the
I was gonna say, let's,
retirement?
yeah, there's not anything we're gonna do there because it's already set in stone, so.
Well, no, but it's just on the agenda, we could just look
Yeah.
through it.
how many more payments do you have on the backhoe? Is this upcoming year our last one?
What was his question?
How many more payments we have in the backhoe?
The backhoe will be paid off through July 2021.
I guess if this budget year would be our last one, right?
Yep.
That's good.
So I guess any questions there? I mean, it's,
That was pretty cut and dry.
I was gonna say it. Says he doesn't see the invite, but it just sent it to his email. I'll send it again. NAGAGNON. Yeah, send it again. If nothing else, I can have, just come on the phone. We can hear the audio anyway.
Sure.
There he is. Here he goes. Okay, there he is.
Hello,
You're
Hello,
unmuted.
AJ.
how's it going, guys?
Good, how you doing?
Very good.
So we were just looking over the first responder budget here.
Okay, what questions do you have?
So how many students do you have enrolled right now?
Right now, I believe before we went on break, we had 9 altogether, I believe.
Now, AJ, if another 3 people decided they'd like to participate, how far are you advanced on that? Would they be able to join when you start over again?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Yep. So I think when we get a better sense of when we can actually start holding class again, I think the plan was we can really push out and fill it for 12 because we have 12 textbooks and we're all geared up for it. So this actually gives us some time, I think, to maybe get a few more people to come and join and round that out.
Do you foresee getting going before July 1, or what's your thoughts?
I think that we should be able to get, I believe we could get going for phase 2 of the proposed rollout, whenever that is. I mean, your guess is probably as good as mine. You know what I mean? But I really think that by phase 2, we would be able to run the class effectively. The good thing we have is that we don't have clinicals in the hospital to deal with. That's been a big barrier, with all of this going on. So that makes teaching our class, this EMR class, a little bit easier, if that makes sense. We just have to be able to gather in groups of 10 or greater before we can pass a straight face test, I think, of doing the class. Does that make sense or sound reasonable, or?
Yes, it does to me.
Okay. So you can see with the budget, and Chris, I'm assuming you probably shared with the budget that I sent you.
Yep, they've all got it.
Okay, so the first year startup cost is a little bit more expensive because there's the upfront initial testing fee that we have to do to get the students licensed, as well as like the one-time book purchase as well. So that's why that's the main reason why you see it's a little bit more expensive that first year. But again, I know that we can stay at or below the 13,630 mark, that projection for the following years after that.
So this year we've appropriated for you 16,620 at that last town meeting.
Yep.
Do you? I'm getting the feeling that you're not going to use all of that this time around.
Yeah, it really, we're not going to use all of that this time around. Yeah, that's correct, because we will not have had the time we had built in there money for first responders per call, the stipend to be paid for the first responders per call for $30 per call. And now with everything getting pushed back, we will have not spent that money because we will not have responded to any calls.
Okay.
So there is
Plus,
that.
you also expected to have the testing done by the time the new year came too, so you won't have that fee either this year.
Yeah, that's very well could be. I'm thinking that what we're anticipating, and I've actually been working with the state at the state level for EMR and basic testings to setting that up. So I actually have a pretty good pulse on when testing will open up. So we're really expecting that testing at the EMR level will open up on June 1st. So it'll be late. I think it'll be, late summer before we're able to test for sure.
That's what I was thinking. Okay.
Yeah.
$5,000 that for the director. That's for a whole year. Is it prorated since the town meeting? In other words, you're not going to spend that whole $5,000 on a director at this time, are you, AJ?
Can you hear?
I didn't hear all that.
Yeah, I was gonna say, you're gonna have to speak up so you can hear you.
Okay. You put a stipend for a director at $5,000 for a full year. But it hasn't been a full year. Will all that money be spent for
No.
the startup cost, or will you have some of that left?
Oh, no, you'll have some of that left as well. We're not gonna take the $5,000. I don't think, no, yeah, you'll have a bulk of that left. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, that was my question.
Yep. Yep. No, I thought we'd increase that to 10,000 for this year.
Nice try.
The money that's left over this year, would that go back into the general fund, or are we gonna set up somewhat of a reserve account for this a little bit, or what? Because I'd hate to
That's
just throw the money
something-
back after we had a special town meeting.
Yeah. And that's one of the things that I wanted to discuss at some point and have you guys think about. You know, every year, the accounts that have money left over, it goes back into the general fund and it's sitting in there. I was thinking the other day, what if we were to suggest to all the departments that any money that's left over in their budgets goes back into their reserves? So it kind of instills in them the idea of, well, if we don't spend it, we'll have it for when we need it, because it'll go into reserve for their account, rather than always going back into the general fund and then we have to reappropriate it again the next year and so forth. It's just a thought that maybe we could help with the reserves at the same time, help people be a little more adept to saving money. So it's something for you to think about anyway. It's just a thought that, you know, it'd prevent them from spending all the time. And that would work for this too. See, we don't use it, it goes into their reserve and they would have it when we needed it for them. It'd be easy just to go to the town and say, we need to pull this and support this. Anyway, just thought.
Is that something we'd have to recommend at a town meeting or?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, any other questions for AJ?
Nope.
So I think like we're literally ready to run with this and to go. Like everything's built, we're good to go. We've got all the logistical stuff essentially planned out. So as soon as we can meet legally, I guess.
Yeah.
So
And as far as your equipment and all that stuff, you got the supplies that you're gonna need?
we haven't ordered all the supplies that we're going to need. We've kind of just held off a little bit, quite frankly, but that's something that we can certainly move ahead with and do a little bit better with for this for sure.
Yeah, because if you've got the money in there right now,
Yep.
it'd be a good thing to,
To get stuff, yeah.
Yep.
Where's the warehouse in this?
where's all the equipment gonna be stored? Up the fire station or where?
Yeah, I was able to go up. I went up with the fire chief and had kind of have a set location where we'll store it. But it's essentially at the fire station on the second kind of story up there. There's actual a cabinet that would be able to use in a space that would work out well and not
Okay.
impede on the fire. Wouldn't impede on the fire department or anything.
Okay. Oh, my goodness. Any other questions? Yeah.
Is there anything you need from us or that we can do to help you guys anymore or?
No, this is what we definitely needed. We're working through the budget right now, so this is an important part of it in order to get it in there. So,
Okay.
okay, well,
Sounds
in
good.
that case, thanks for joining us.
Thanks,
No
AJ.
problem. Yeah, take care, guys. Wash your hands.
Many times. Okay. That's pretty much what we have for the budget workshop portion tonight. Next item on the agenda is elected officials report. Fred, you got anything?
Have you heard from our Utah manager yet? Is
I
he-
have not heard from him since Sunday.
So is he in the state of Maine now?
He's in Presque Isle at a friend's house.
All right, that's important information to have. No, that was my question.
Okay. Tad, anything?
Nope, I'm good.
Chris?
I'm looking to see what the thoughts are of when we're gonna start being able to open some of these things back up and be able to serve customers at the town office and things like that. I heard just on the news that there was places downstate getting ready to do that.
A lot of places, Chris, are opening June 1st. They're limiting, how many people they're allowing in the office. And they're also doing this with, which along with, local towns as well. They've put up the plexiglass barriers. And I think that's something that we should probably look into doing. Chief Mahan has told me that Ron Gilmet would be willing to do that for probably around $300-400 to put up a plexiglass barrier. And that includes the wood with it as well. So, and that way we could start, allowing people in, one at a time, probably at first, until things change.
I think that's a good idea that we at least work that, because whatever we do, though, it should be more like a permanent type structure rather than some of the
Absolutely.
makeshift ones that some of the places are using, because once it's there,
Right,
it'll be a good thing to have regardless.
right. And
Yep.
some towns have stated that they're only going to do it temporarily, and then others have said they made the barrier for it to be there permanently,
Yep,
which is a
that's-
very good idea.
I think so.
Because there is a chance that some of us being rural might be able to get going sooner, as it's a flexible plan. So if we're at least moving in that direction, when we can go, that we'll be set to go.
Right. Yeah.
Okay. Anything else, Chris?
Nope.
Jimmy?
No, whatever I had, Vicky answered it, so I'm all set. Thank you.
Okay. As far as the other boards and so forth, the report from the NMDC, we're still meeting using Zoom and phone, and we're doing the same thing with the landfill. So we're still having our meetings. Our next landfill meeting is on the 29th. That's just been moved from the 22nd to the 29th. We just had the finance committee meeting the other day, so for the NMDC. So that's all I have on that stuff.
Well, I do have one additional thing. I think most of us the other night were on the school committee meeting on the high school stuff. Are we able to request from the school a breakdown of the budget so that we can start mulling that over and learning what we can?
They're hoping to have that to us next week. That's what Superintendent Dobbins was telling me. We've asked, I told him this week or next week. So if we can get it by next week, we'll have it time to review it for the following week so we can do whatever we need to do.
Okay, thank you.
And the school committee, I know, was gonna, they're meeting tonight, but not the whole board was there because we had Michelle with us here. They're gonna meet next week to discuss other things, so I'm sure that's when we'll get it.
When we get information, I'd like to have a hard copy of it.
They will.
Just put in my box.
Okay.
And I'd like to have a full, the remaining pages of this budget.
Yeah, well, we'll need to have that anyway. Okay, so for our next meeting, well, let's go down through first. Other, anybody have anything under other? Nothing? Okay. I don't see anybody texting in anything, so. All right, so approve warrants. We don't have any warrants to approve.
Nope, no warrants.
Well, I like it. So anyway, at our next meeting, Vicky, as far as our budget sheet,
Yep.
can we have a complete set, including the charities and
And the changes.
everything? And then, because we've got to really start narrowing this down now that we've had time, met with each of the department heads. We've got the numbers and so forth. Now's when our job really kicks in. We have to start working this, narrowing it down to what we're gonna do.
Well, can we also, for the highway department, we had asked for the two different options, one with an employee, one without. Can we get that too?
Yep.
please? Thank you.
Yep.
Okay,
Did we ever decide on whose department's doing the mowing this year?
No.
You guys did not.
No. We talked about hiring a summer employee for $12,000, but that's as far as we go.
Yeah, well, I know for like the past 4 years, it goes from the rec to the highway, from the highway to the rec to the highway. You know, sometime it's got to stop and just pick a department.
Under Public Works. That way they
I-
can monitor them.
yeah, I was gonna say, I have no problem with it being under Public Works as the responsibility, but I think we need to hire a part-time person, somebody that can just come in and do the mowing and so forth, and that's the only responsibility they have. But I think because of the locations and so forth, I think it still should fall under Public Works, my personal opinion.
I agree with you, Walt. And I also think, if that's strictly a mowing job, if they get rained out on a Tuesday or a Wednesday, they can come in on a Saturday and still be under their 40 hours and keep on schedule.
Right. The only other thing that we were talking about was maybe separating the Trafton from the rest of the mowing. I don't know if anybody's thought about that
I
anymore.
think we should, and I think.
I think that we should talk to Tom on that, Walt, to see. I think that with that little snippet, I mean, it's not bad money that he's getting. Maybe he'd be interested just doing the Trafton portion.
And Public Works said they'd be happy to take the lawnmower out there so that they could run it and get it done, so.
If you had a part-time employee that did come into work on Saturday, the mower would already be in town, so he'd still be able to utilize it without having anybody haul it, out to Trafton or wherever, wherever it should be.
We have two mowers.
Yeah.
So, I mean, if one was up there for a day, whoever that part-time person is still could use the other one.
Right. Yeah, it would be available. So Vicky, probably should be your responsibility to talk with Public Works and let them know that that's what we're looking at doing. And then we should probably start advertising for a part-timer to come in, maybe a high school student or something that was willing to do all that.
Okay, for the mowing.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah.
Everybody agree to that?
Yes.
Okay. Maybe we should have that in the form of a motion though, anyway, just so that we're clear where we're
Keep
going.
it on the agenda. Yeah. I make the motion to hire a part-time employee to do mowing of our properties of town under the Public Works.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded.
What about a dollar amount? We should probably put that there, not to exceed 12,000. Is that what we talked about? Or does that seem too high? Is anybody got a calculator to figure that out, or?
I think that it's actually around 8.6, but if you go 12, you would.
Well,
all kinds of.
Why don't we just set it at the wage, what it is, the hourly wage?
Because I think that when you set a number to what it would be to the people, better than, if you set a number to what you're gonna only pay, then we're not gonna go with that. I think
Well, yeah, we're gonna,
hourly, you don't know how many hours. So.
you'll have a limit to it.
So what would you guys say? Would 12 seems high, maybe 10?
At 12,000, that gives you about 800 hours at $13 an hour.
So if you had to go a little bit to 4, yeah. So I'll just do 12,000. If we don't spend it, we're gonna put it back. We're not gonna frivolously
Spend over
spend money.
I hope not. Okay. So we have a motion on the floor then for part-timer to do the mowing, and we set the limit at 12,000. Okay,
Under the highway department.
under the highway department.
So will that be for next year's budget, for this year's budget?
You'd have to do it for this year. Well, you'd.
Well,
it'd be
But
partial.
you wouldn't want to spend 12,000 this year.
That would be next year's budget. That's what we're talking about now is next year's budget.
Right.
You might have a small portion this year if you start mowing, in a few weeks, but it'd be very minute, I hope.
But
So-
if you put that money in next year's budget, you may be able to back pay.
Do we have
So-
any money in the budget this year?
You've got money left over that you appropriated
Right.
from the part-time plow.
Yep,
Yeah, that'd be more
Yeah.
than enough to get us over till July.
yep.
So that, just so I'm clear, Jimmy, your motion is for the summer season for grass mowing.
That is all. And under the direction of the highway to mow grass only.
Okay.
Not to exceed $12,000.
Okay,
Does Michelle still have a question about this?
looks like it.
Oh. Either last town meeting or the one before that, it was talked about getting rid of the 2 seasonal people and hire a full-time person to take the position so that we don't continue to put out for seasonal and so on and so forth. And it was a way to maintain somebody. So it was approved to get rid of the seasonal positions and hire the full-time. So why does it seem that we got the full-time person, but now we're backtracking and hiring seasonal part-time people?
That was before, me, I guess I don't know.
Well, right now, the highway is actually asking to hire another person down there because of all the work that's needed and so forth, that they're not able to keep up with it. So even with what we've got, it'd be difficult. But at the same time, hiring another full-time person with everything that's going on with the benefits and on, it's just, I think seasonal is what we need for this kind of a job. We talked about having a mechanic that could do some of this stuff and work back and forth as the full-time employee. So we've talked about that, where last year when we went to town meeting, that was one of the discussions that some of the people were talking about. And we tried approaching the school with it. We didn't get any place. So I think that's why it's back to a part-time person again.
Okay, I guess we were trying to do budget savings and so on and so forth and trying to cut out things, and it was approved, and now we're just kind of adding to our budget. So I was just kind of wondering why that was going on.
Well, like I said, it's because of the amount of work that's down there that they're trying to hire another full-time person. And we just,
The other problem is it's during the summer that his employees can take vacations, and he's always short-handed at Public Works during the summer, and that's when most of your road work is gonna be done is in the summer.
yeah, you can't take an employee and let them have vacation during the winter because they're needed for plowing and so forth. So the only time they can do it is in the summer. And then when you've got, the 4 employees and they each have 2 to 3 weeks at a time, that takes up the whole summer. One guy's gone all the time. That's something that we hadn't even talked about before, which is true. It's something that we need to consider.
Okay.
Okay. Any other comments, questions?
Excuse me.
Okay, all in favor then of the motion? It's unanimous. Okay, then I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Been moved and second. All in favor? Thank you all. I think
Thank
it went a
you.
little smoother tonight.
No, I don't have anybody yelling at me, so.
Good thing, huh? Another week
Yeah.
of peace. Everybody have a good night.
Have a
You
good day,
too.
guys.
You too.
Night.
All right, I guess I can. End the meeting. And